Welcome to the Superpowered FLL Coach Call. This is our second Coach Call of the season, and the date is September 12th, 2022. On the Coach Call tonight, we have myself, Jeff Bartig, with FLL Wisconsin, Steve DeCabiter, also with FLL Wisconsin. And we have head referee Jay Church and head judge advisor Brian Farrell. And we're here to answer any questions that coaches and teams may have.
Welcome back, coaches. I see some familiar faces. Hey, Art, Oria. See Eric's here.
Thanks everybody for helping out again.
Doing well.
Can I raise my hand?
We can hear you.
Yeah.
You guys want to throw something out first here? Maybe we.
We'd love to. We got 3 questions and 3 kids.
Oh boy.
So...
Well, we'll see how many answers you get for that.
Our first question, Lily, is since basically we realized that putting into the dinosaur, like the little piece, like the battery that goes in the dinosaur, is actually pretty difficult. We can't even know if it can be done by robots' hands. If the dinosaur is in home base, are we technically allowed to just grab the battery it's on hands and implant it?
I'll ask you first is what do you guys think? So what do you think the answer to the question is?
We think we should be able to.
And why do you think you should be able to? Because it's easy, or
because you can
It's
touch
really
things
hard.
in the mission zone, right?
Also technically, if we get it in, like, how is a robot gonna have fingers?
I agree with your assessment. You can do it in home by hand, right? Because you're allowed to handle things in the home areas. So yeah, we're not expecting the robot to actually put the thing inside the dinosaur in home. That might be the only good answer we get for you.
The next one is about our robot's behind. Who's going to ask that one?
Now what?
So our robot hangs off like the back of this home like starting area. Is that okay, or does the robot have to be fully?
Oh no.
Nope.
So you guys locked
It
up.
froze.
You want to finish your question? Your robot.
Sorry,
hangs
we can
out.
repeat again.
Yep.
Yeah, so it hangs out the back, and we were wondering, does it have to be fully in the white space area, or can it hang out the back a little bit?
Jeff?
So if you're reading the rule book on the page about during the match and inside home, Rule 3 says when launching, the robot and anything that's about to move must fit completely inside the launch area. So if your robot's hanging outside the launch area, the referee won't let you launch.
Excellent. Great clarifying question.
Okay, our last question is how long can our presentation be?
Oh, that's a Brian question.
That is a Brian question. Okay, well, I'm going to bring up the
We couldn't find it in any of the material. Any guidance on length?
so generally it's considered 5 minutes. I'm looking for the flow chart here, and I am staring past it.
You have it.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I found it. So basically, innovation project presentation is 5 minutes. Okay, and where I'm getting this from, am I allowed to share?
Let me enable sharing. Yeah, sharing's enabled now.
Okay, let me click on it again. Okay, so this document here is actually from the first website. Okay, so I went over here, the same resource library you use, and the judging session flowchart. Okay, here's what a judging session looks like. You come in, you get about a 2-minute welcome. This is kind of the judges introducing themselves to the team. We'll get to know the team as you go through the judging process. They can give their names and stuff, and that's fine. But then the innovation project presentation is 5 minutes. Okay. Now, if that means if you're 5 minutes and 10 seconds, we're not going to yell at you, right? But if you're 3.5 minutes, you're probably not giving us all the information you have. That
What
help?
happens if they're 6 minutes?
Well, as you start to get longer, then we'll have to actually start looking at kind of asking to wrap it up, because the next part is this innovation project question and answer. And that's where the judges get to start asking questions, really to fill in the blanks of things that they didn't feel like they got the information from. Okay, and we really want the judges to be able to do that, because even though you feel like you might be giving them the information, they might feel that there's something else that they want to ask and get that information.
Is it planned to be the same way than last year with all 3 presentations in same room all together?
Yes, if you look, this is the same basic flow chart as last year.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your assistance today.
Sure.
Are
Glad
you,
we could help.
Coach? Are you on the Slack channel?
No,
We might if you get on there. And I'm sure we'll get you a link or something. You guys are able to ask us questions on there, and we might get back to you during the week or weekends or something like that. Unless you want to wait till the calls, it's up to you. But if you need answers sooner, we try to get to those as quickly as we can. So.
yep. And I gotta go tell Brian that he can make me a judge a bunch of times again this year too.
Oh well, I'm sure he'll be happy to hear that. How about
Yep.
this? 1 question per judge volunteer. How about that? We appreciate you volunteering.
Oh, I've done it for years. It's fun.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, little ones. Is that all you have? No more questions? All right.
Pretty much.
Bye.
What's that? Okay, bye. All right.
Jay, I had a question, if that's okay.
Sure.
I have a question about the dinosaur mission.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to confirm that the dinosaur, when going from blue to red, can be anywhere in the yellow dotted region, even if it's half in, half out, when the match ends.
Yeah, we're gonna go. I'm gonna go to the mission as well, unless Jeff, unless you know the answer right away. It's gonna take me a couple weeks to get all these memorized pretty well, but I can go over it real quick.
I think given the first picture, the answer is yes, but I just want to verify because there are so many permutations of dinosaur activities.
Okay, and I'm sorry, your question one more time was: does it have to be in the launch area or home in general?
I wanted to verify that per the pictures, it looks like that dinosaur, when it comes to rest, can be anywhere in the quarter circle or the left-hand wooden area.
Yeah, so let's
And
just
still count for 10 points.
Yep, let's just be clear about it's calling for the home area, okay, not the launch area. So the quarter circle itself is the launch area.
Right.
It becomes home after the launch. So they want it to be the scoring criteria is in the left home area. So yes, the answer is it can be to the left of the quarter circle as well.
Okay. And so the reason why I wanted to confirm that is because I wanted to make sure that at the end of the match, if it was anywhere in that left-hand region, we would be okay. And it sounds like the answer is yes. So thank you.
What did Barry say?
Barry was the one who was giving me the bad advice before. That's why I asked you, Jay.
Good question. Yeah, good answer. Yeah, everything I see right now, Jen, and Jeff hasn't yelled at me or Eric hasn't yelled at me. So yeah, it's the home area. So that includes the quarter circle and the left area there.
Okay. Can I ask? Go ahead.
Yeah, just on same aspect. So if the robot moves the dinosaur into the white area, can the kids pick up the robot and move into the black area? Because that becomes home, so you are supposed to be able to do whatever, right?
I want to make sure what you just said. You said pick up the robot. Do you mean pick up the dinosaur and move it to the black area?
Yeah, so if the robot moves the dinosaur from one side to the other, but it moves into the white circle or semicircle, after that, can the kids move the dinosaur by hand from the white area into the black area on home, so that it's not on the way for the next missions to launch?
Yeah, there's nothing that prevents them from moving it once it's in the home area after launch. The entire area there is home, so they're allowed to handle. They can move that to the black area.
Okay.
As
What
long
if-
as it's completely in that quarter
Right,
circle, they
right.
can move it.
What if
Or
it's still
actually-
being pushed by the robot then? Isn't it part of the robot?
So if it's being pushed by the robot, it would be cargo.
Right, so it has to become not cargo before they can touch it, right?
Yes, right. Go into that part as well. I just want to make sure nothing has changed since last year.
I think the pictures are a little misguiding in the rule book. There's like the last picture where it says energy unit inside on mission 9 on page 12. It's like the head is out, but the energy unit's inside. So all 4 feet of the robot are in, but there's like about a third.
So in that particular example, what it's showing is that you are not earning points for the robot being in the home area, but you are earning 10
For the
points
dinosaur.
because the energy unit's installed.
Okay, so in that case, the dinosaur toy is not completely in the home area, so therefore it would not be able to be manipulated by anybody on the team.
Correct.
Jen,
So
I'm
it's got to
gonna,
be all or none.
Yes.
right. The dinosaur and the battery itself are 2 different scoring elements. So they're showing, like Jeff said, they're showing the energy unit scoring, but not the dinosaur. So it doesn't have to be both. It can be the energy unit can score without the dinosaur scoring.
Thank you.
Jen, I'm gonna find the answer or the rule that applies to that cargo so I can read it. You guys want to do something else while I'm looking for that?
Yeah, I have a part 2 though, and then we might be in the same
I-
spot.
Okay.
I want to give a part 2 to the answer we were just giving here.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
So on the page 20 of the rules, during the match outside home, rule 2 talks about if a piece of equipment or mission model is dropped or left outside of home, wait for it to come to rest. And the second bullet says if it rests partly in home, so that's that picture of the dinosaur partly in home. It says it stays as is unless the robot changes it. Alternatively, at any time, the technicians may remove it by hand. If the object removed by hand was a mission model, it must be given to the referee for the remainder of the match. If the object was equipment, it must be taken into that home area and the team would lose 1 precision token. So because the dinosaur is a mission model, it has to stay where it is unless the team wants it out of the way. But if the team wants it out of the way, the referee takes it away and it is gone then for the rest of the match.
Okay, so the question to my question before was that you gotta leave the dinosaur whatever your robot lives it, right? So they will not be able to move by hand, even if it's completely in the home area.
So they have the option if it's, as it's shown in that right picture, if the team says we don't want that dinosaur there, it's going to block us. The referee can remove it completely off the table.
So Jeff, I think what he's asking is if it's completely in home, not partially in
Yeah,
home.
if it's like on the first picture.
Yes, if it's completely in home, then the team can handle it.
But the first
Okay, so
picture
what
wasn't
you-
completely in home, was it?
Well, the first one is
First picture is completely in
On the
home
left.
because that was my first question.
Okay.
I just
So the
wanted, that's
rule-
why I agree with him. The pictures are a little confusing.
So the rule that you just read, Jeff, that is only in the case of like third picture. So if the,
Yes.
that's okay, right, got it.
Well, the third or the middle picture, right?
Right.
Correct. The middle picture, it's completely outside of home. So in that case, it just has to stay there unless the robot moves it. The right picture showing it half in, half out of home, the team does have the option of saying we want that removed from the table. But then it's no longer something the team can score with once it's removed from the table.
Okay, can I ask my quick part 2 then?
Go
So
for it.
after we leave off the dinosaur, the kids want to toss the innovation model in front of the robot without relaunching it. What are the rules associated with tossing the cargo in front of the robot? As long as the cargo is still sitting in home, it's fine for the robot to keep on pushing it out, or do we have to relaunch because it's interacting with something new that wasn't on the table to begin with?
Oh, I see. You're talking about like last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I did see something about I saw something about tossing or elements being shot across the table or something like that, but that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about in home. Let's see if that is still in the rules this year. I honestly haven't seen that yet this year.
Because line 1 says that if you interrupt your robot, it has to be relaunched. But if they don't actually touch the robot, then they can place anything they want in front of it, is how I'm interpreting that number 1 on that page 20. But I just want to confirm that that would be the same interpretation at a competition.
And I'm looking for something that says you can't do that, Jen. If we don't find something that says you can't, then you can. That's one of the ones they specifically called out last year, saying you could do. I just want to make sure there's nothing that says that's changed.
I'm not seeing anything.
Not either. EO, have you seen anything like that? You know what she's talking about? Like,
I stepped away for a second. Can you repeat the question?
So the team has the robot in motion and it drops off on the other side. And then the robot turns around and they want to put something in front of the robot that will be pushed by the robot to another part of the mat without relaunching the robot. They aren't actually touching the robot. They're just trying to put something in front of it while it's still in motion in home.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with any text that would disallow that, unless Jay or Jeff, you can find anything.
I'm looking now and I don't see anything to disallow it. I'm just going through the inside home during the match and stuff like that. So as far as I see, and I've read this a few times, and I don't remember seeing anything that removes that allowance. Other than, you know, I wish they would have actually stated it again here, but it's not stated. So
As long as the object isn't touching the robot, they're putting their equipment out on the table or the mission model inside of home, and they've removed their hands from it, then the robot can interact with it. The glossary has interruption being defined as when technicians interact with the robot or anything touching it after launch. So
Okay, so if
placing
they
something in front of it but not touching the robot or any of the robot's current cargo is not an interruption.
yeah, I don't see anything that disallows it either. So I think just like last year, you'd be able to place something in home for the robot to interact with.
Okie dokie.
If I find something, we'll post it right away, but I think we probably read this a few times now, and I don't know that anything exists to disallow it.
With the innovation project model, mission 1, can it be launched from either launch zone, or does it have to be the left zone?
I mean, look real quick, but I think it's either. I didn't see anything, again, specifying it had to be from the left. It says... It doesn't say anything. It just says deliver your innovation project model to the hydrogen plant target area. It doesn't say that it has to start from any direction. And the only thing I can think of that does that this year is the dinosaur.
On the same note, so if you start one mission, let's say on the left side, and then you complete on the right side, can you move the robot by hand to the side that you want? or does it need to start the next mission or next set of missions from the same side that ended?
So there was a challenge. The challenge update has been posted. Get it real quick and read it to you. But the technicians are not allowed to move the robot by hand from home to home. They can't pass the. I want to get the exact verbiage here, but it was cleared that they're not allowed to do that. I'm sorry, I had it here. Okay. So during the match inside home, robot handling, this is clarification 6 from whenever it posted last week. Technicians may not pass the robot directly from one home area to the other.
Okay. Although both are home, and you're allowed to do everything home, but you can't move from home to home.
Well, the only thing I have seen that is restricted to one home area or
Right.
is the dinosaur. Starts on the right and has to go to the left.
I think the technicians can't switch sides either. So the
Correct.
dinosaur,
Sorry, yeah, that's absolutely correct.
And the dinosaur is
again?
part of the field setup instructions that we need to, as when we set up the field for the team, the dinosaur does need to go in a specific home.
But you can start the first mission from either side, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
After inspection, the team divides up the robot and any equipment they've brought with them between the two home areas. And once they've divided it up and they're ready to launch, that equipment stays where they initially divided it,
And how
unless
about
the robot moves it.
So, and how about the energy units? Let's say the robot moves our unit to one side and you want to use that on the other side. Can you move that by hand or same applies?
Same applies.
Okay.
team was asking what happens in energy storage if the robot accidentally flips up that white thing. Is that considered demolishing a mission? Because it's easy to flip it off with the attachment they're using. So that white cover plate where you can decorate it with your own decoration.
In mission 3.
Yep.
So the robot unintentionally.
Yeah, no, it definitely doesn't intentionally try to do it, but and my understanding, I guess, is if they choose to decorate it, they can use their own decorated one at the thing, or it's going to be the
Yes.
white blank one. They can. So I guess if you decorate it a lot, it's more likely, right? So at least in our case. So what would happen in that case? Would we lose points on that mission if that were to happen?
So what I'm looking for is intentionally, and that again, the rules are written a little bit different than they have been in the past, so it takes us a minute to find this here. I'm looking. Okay.
I mean, the closest thing I can find is on page 20, rule 3.
Yep, that's what I was just looking at. Yep.
Teams cannot separate the dual lock, take models apart, or break a mission model.
So they have not.
But that's really, I mean, that part's just set on there. It's not permanently attached. So lifting it off, is that really damage?
That's our fundamental question. Again, we're not trying to lift it off. There's no magic in the lifting of it off, but it's happened a couple times now, and so I want to understand what could happen with that.
So, Jen, let me do this. We're gonna try to get something together this week for meeting with referees and stuff. So let me, if you don't mind, let me just take a note of this one and we'll discuss. I tend to agree with Jeff, what he's saying, that you're not breaking the mission model, but we need to be, make sure we're all in agreement on that. That's
Okay.
okay with you.
Yep.
I'll
I
put
don't
this-
need it until November 12th. So
No, I get it. I don't, because we haven't had our meeting yet and I don't want to say things. And then if you guys don't attend other meetings, you'll have bad information. I'd rather we work through it first and then kind of give it to you guys.
So only the bricks that are in the bag 15 can be used for the display wall, correct?
What's the mission number?
So that's for the display wall that we're just talking about.
yeah, so
It
mission
says
3
that
has
3.
a bunch of dots
Yeah,
in
mission
it.
3. Okay, so it's got to be the dots only. It's not like you can go and fabricate something weird that's your decoration, but then gives you some form of an advantage. It says on page 23 that bag 15 is the design tiles for the display wall, so I'm assuming that's the only bricks allowed.
Yeah, I guess that's a really good question because in the past, other than the white bricks in innovation project bricks were allowed for innovation model, right? In years past, you said that any bricks are fine to use your innovation model. So I think that's a good clarification.
They also do call out innovation project bricks though.
Right, so that would be a
same
change
list.
from last year, right? So the innovation project bricks are the only bricks we can use
I'm not-
for the
I'm not-
innovation model.
I'm not sure that's the case. I don't
Oh.
read it that way. The rule doesn't say that. It's just labeled that way. So I'm just looking for what was it, Art? I'm sorry, I wasn't looking to see who was speaking.
It was me. I was just looking at page 23.
Yeah, that's where I'm at now. So all design
yeah.
tiles for display wall.
Yeah. So we can use any parts, or as
Again,
long as we're
that's
not
something.
doing anything that gives them an additional advantage.
I'm looking here. If we apply the same rule as the innovation project bricks, let me see what
Actually, the innovation project model specifically says has to be white, or I guess it's at minimum 2 white Lego pieces.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying
Right,
about
and doesn't
extrapolating that,
restrict.
right, is it says in the same list we're looking at, it says innovation project bricks, but there's no rule that I see that says you have to use those out of bag 1, right? So if we use that same rule, then design tiles wouldn't have to be used, the ones they supplied either, right? If we're saying the same thing, are you guys following me? If we don't have to use the innovation project bricks that they supply, then we wouldn't have to use the design tiles for the display wall that they supply. Literally right
Okay.
next to each other.
So then by definition, you could use any Lego bricks to futz around with mission 3.
I don't
Yes?
see anything that says otherwise. I got a super secret private message too, from someone that's very important that says, I don't see anything calling out that it must be bag 15. I agree, super secret private message. Yes, agreed as well. Strategic advantage. I don't see anything that says you guys can't do that. And I mean, if we were going to make these rules today, I can't see they have them on the list together where they supply the innovation project bricks, but you don't have to use them. And how can we say that they supply the design tiles for the display wall, but you have to use those? That doesn't make sense. So, got to be both or neither, right? I'm gonna say no, Jen.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna say no that I don't see any restrictions. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I'll ask you guys, does anybody see something, you guys have probably read the rules as much as we have. Is anybody seeing anything that will not allow that you guys have seen? That will not allow you to use whichever bricks you want? Peggy, I saw you come off mute. Do you have something to say?
If you look at session 3, I mean, I don't know if it really says anything really specific one way or the other. It just does talk about locate the design tiles in bag 15 for the energy storage display wall, which you will use with the energy storage model later in this season. Create a team design with the design tiles to put on your display wall.
And where are you reading that from, Peggy?
This is from the team meeting guide, session 3.
Oh, I don't think that holds any weight at all.
That's why I wasn't sure.
There's nothing in hierarchy for rules for the team meeting guide.
Yeah, I think the only restriction is that 2 of your innovation project model elements that don't have to come from that bag need to be white.
Right.
So what about the rule though that says you can't have anything affixed like to a mission model? Because there is that rule.
But it already tells you to stick stuff on mission 3 wall, right?
Yeah, so if they
Right.
if they give you leniency, it's kind of like, not being able to interfere with a mission model unless it's part of the actual mission. So if they're telling you that you're allowed to do this, then that's exempt from that rule. Because they're literally telling you you can do it. But yeah, that's a good catch. I don't know who was that, Emily?
Yeah, I was just trying to think of other rules that
Yeah,
possibly could pertain.
I thought I recognized your voice. That's a good catch, but I think, yeah, because it states that you can do it and you're allowed to, then that's exempt from not being allowed. Did everybody get the rule updates from, it's been 2 weeks now since we've talked. I assume everyone has seen the August 24th rule updates that didn't post until like 2 weeks after that. We'll just do it this way. So if you haven't seen updates, we had the day 1 updates, and then there has been another set of updates. They're dated August 24th. They were posted sometime after that, but there is some update and clarification. One of them is the wind turbine building instruction has been updated because there was some issue with sticking there. Or
I don't know. Ours still stick. They still latch together, and I'm not really sure. We're orienting them the exact way in the picture, and they're not smoothly dumping, for sure. I don't know if anybody else is running into the same thing or if it's our robot approach, but it's definitely not smoothly taking one at a time.
We assemble according to the original instructions, and the mission works fine. Just push a thing in and drops one at a time.
I would definitely go to the update and correct that in case it works the opposite way for you, where if you get onto a properly built model, it doesn't work. Do you know the update that I'm talking about?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Yeah, we saw that.
Peggy, you guys were the ones that had the issue with that initially, right?
We had the build problem that they put in there where that red panel doesn't meet the line, and I think they clarified that in there too, that it won't come out to the line. That's how it was.
Okay.
I don't know.
So after the update, you guys are good with that correction? Okay. I don't know, Jen. We'll see how it goes during practicing, if anybody else is saying anything. But we had a couple, actually, I had two different coaches email me letting me know that fixed their problem. So I'm not sure.
Okay, we'll rebuild it.
If the robot is putting some kind of flex on it in some direction or something. I don't know.
Okay, we'll try again.
You didn't let Barry build it, did you?
No, Sullivan built it.
Oh, okay. Whew.
Man, those kids were fast on those models this year compared to last year's. They went together fast, but that doesn't mean they were built correctly.
I've got a couple of questions. I always come with questions. For my other dinosaur question was, when it comes to the dinosaur toy, the head and the tail can be like put in words, right? Like the kids keep folding the dinosaur up to take it across and to then unfold it by hand. And once it's completely in the home area, and they just want to make sure that that's fine.
Can you do the first part of your question again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that the dinosaur toy can, like, the tail can kind of get like folded up and tucked in itself, and so can the head. And they just want to make sure that that's legal, that they can fold it up to send it across, and that works.
I don't see anything that says you can't, and I actually don't see anything that says you actually have to unfold it either.
Okay. Well, to get the battery in, they'd have to unfold it. But
Well, I mean, after
yeah.
it's over there, I don't see anything that says you have to
Yeah.
unfold it once it's delivered.
Right. And anything that's hinged
Right.
is movable and doesn't have to be in a specific position to score. What wouldn't be
Okay.
allowed is for them to actually detach the legs that are fixed. You can't pull it apart and send it to the other side and then rebuild it.
Okay.
But
Perfect.
anything
And
that's hinged and moves, I mean, that can be in any position you want.
One
okay.
thing my kids noticed is, and I don't have it in front of me right now, but I think if you lift the head, it kind of pops that latch open so that they could get in there better. And it does note that the lid has to be completely closed. So therefore, I'm assuming the head has to be down enough that it's closed.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a fair point. So the rules don't require you to put the head and tail down, but it's in order to score that that part of the scoring, it would have to be completely closed. Yeah, thanks for that, Peggy. That's a good point. So yeah, just Emily, make sure that when they leave it there, it is completely closed if they have the energy.
Right.
Okay. And then the secondary question with that is, they looked through the manual. I looked through the manual. We didn't see anything. And if I remember from last year, there's no height requirement minimum when launching, right? I know for like inspection there is, but when they're actually launching the robot, there's no height restriction.
Give me a second. That should be an easy one to find.
Right. And during inspection, all of your equipment must fit completely in one launch area, so in one quarter circle, and under the height limit of 12 inches. But for launch, it must fit into two launch areas for
Right.
inspection under height of 12 inches. It can fit in two, or it can fit in one for the bonus. But after that, I don't see any height restriction.
Nope.
You can be as tall as you want for launch.
Okay. That's what they figured. We just wanted to double check.
I have a couple questions about interrupting the robot. It talks about, if I can find the part, if it had it when it came from home and is in contact with the robot at the time of interruption. But what if, for example, they're hauling 3 of the energy units, say they're like in a triangle formation, so the robot isn't actually contacting the front one and they have to interrupt it. Do they get to keep that front one that's touching the other 2 units that's touching the robot, or would they lose that one?
I think we would lose it, right? Because it all becomes part of the robot.
Well, it's our cargo. Go to that.
Yeah, I guess
slide.
that's a really good question, though.
It is a good question.
You're saying there's 3 units that were with the robot when it left the launch area?
Right, 2 of them, like
And-
say they're in a triangular formation, so 2 of them are actually touching the robot, but it's just pushing it. That third one is kind of in front of the other ones, So it's not necessarily contacting the robot.
But it is still being controlled by the robot.
It is
and
being
transported
controlled by the robot. But I think the word said contact, which was why I was questioning.
I'm looking to see where it says contact, actually.
During the match, number 1, halfway down, it says, here's what happens to any equipment or mission models that were in contact with the robot when it was interrupted outside of home.
Here's what happened to any equipment. What's up? Okay. Well, that would be a good one, because I think I agree with you, Peggy. I'm adding that one to my list as well.
Yeah, I think they messed up the wording there from where it was the way it was handled in past years.
Okay, so kind of along that same lines, let's say the gyro goes off and the robot starts spinning and it flings those units and the kids are trying to grab the robot. So it lost its cargo as the robot went out of control. What happens to those?
Well, the robot going out of control doesn't really have anything to do with the rules at all, right?
That sounds more like Rule 2 on that same page. If a piece of equipment or mission model is dropped or left outside of home, wait for it to come to rest. And if it's still completely outside of home, it stays there.
So if it flings it, it's probably gone, I'm guessing, right? Unless it somehow touches the robot still, but
it depends upon when the I mean, if the robot's spinning, hasn't lost these pieces yet, and the kid touches it and it's still spinning, and then it loses it, we're going to, as referees, we're going to look at, well, what was the state when the robot was touched or interrupted?
Okay.
So if it still has the cargo when the actual interruption happened, that's what we're going to be looking at.
Yeah, so if the robot continued to spin and whacked it, it's wherever it ends up after that. Right?
Okay.
Because the robot's allowed to keep touching it as much as it wants. And the fact that the robot is just going out of control, that doesn't change any of the rules. Sorry, I'm just rereading. I'm putting these ones that have a little bit of complication on my list that we'll go over. And anything that we have noted here, well, I'll post that back on the Slack channel as well, and we'll talk about it next week as well.
I have a question, mission 12 together.
Mission 12?
Yep.
Okay.
Actually, 2 questions. One, is the loop of the water unit considered part of the water unit? Because it says that it gotta be completely in reservoir. So if the loop is just hanging outside, it looks like it'll be okay still, right?
So normally the loop is part of the mission model, but if you read the text, the blue text of mission 12, it gives you an exception that the loop on the looped water unit may extend out of the water reservoir.
Okay, makes sense.
So if it didn't have those blue words there, we would have said it, that loop has to be completely in, but they've given you an exception.
Okay. And the other question on this one, so you gotta have, to get the 10 points per hook, you need to have 1 unit on each hook, right? So you cannot have 2 units on the same one. You only get 10 points for that, right?
Yeah, that's actually clarified too in the update.
Okay.
It says loop water units on red hooks score 1 per hook, not per unit. two loop water units on the same hook will only score once.
And if it's enclosing both hooks together, to get any points. So if you have one unit, hook it on the two hooks.
Okay, let's read that again.
Because the rule says in a
well,
single red hook.
The rule says, yeah, if it's on a single red hook, so that specifies it has to be on a single. So if it were across two, then there'd be no point scored for that because it doesn't match a scoring condition.
Okay, so the max you can get on this mission is 25 then.
I don't know. I don't know how many parts are there, so sorry.
Yeah, like 10 per hook. You have two hooks and one.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
on
I
the
don't.
mat.
So I don't have all the stuff. I have my models built, but I don't have everything on the table where I can see
okay.
everything yet.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, whatever it says here, touching the max
It looks
5
like
each.
there are 3 water units, and
Yeah.
so if you had one on each of the 2 hooks
20.
and one sitting touching the mat in the reservoir, that seems like it would total to 25 points to maximum.
And do you make sure that you check out that update because it has a couple things about the reservoir.
Okay.
There's the red hooks, and then there's also a frame. The clarification 1. There's a frame update there too. It's mislabeled in the rule book, so make sure you guys are looking at the updates.
I have a question on the building of that mission. When my kids initially built it, those loops, some of them were just wacky and could not get them to stand up nice. And we did determine that they had kind of twisted it when they hooked on the other end. I'm assuming the ones at tournament will, for the most part, be fairly straight. And if they were really wonky, like there's no way they could figure out how to grab them because they twisted every which way. So I'm assuming for the most part, they're going to look like a loop like that does.
You've been to enough tournaments, haven't you? I assume that, yes, I think you're right. They should be. Now, if the kids walk up to the table and they're not, you know how the kids are. They're going to say, hey, that needs to be straightened out. So,
because I know you can't, specify how something is. And I don't know if the directions were very specific that you have to, lay it out straight to put it on right. But if you don't lay it out straight to put it on right, it's really crazy.
That's exactly what I'm looking at now is the setup to see if it has anything about making sure it's square or straight.
We did notice like little lines on the mat that it looks like one turns one way and one turns like 90 degrees different. There's because there's a circle and then there's like a little line that goes across.
It
part
does.
of the circle.
It does
That's
say
the alignment of the loop.
it says loops on the looped water unit should align with the lines on the mat.
Okay.
So yeah, I think they should be close-ish.
Okay.
I mean, by setup, are they all going to be like that? I mean, probably not, but we'll try. Like I said, most of the time the kids, once they get to the table, and if we have something that's not proper, they'll point it out. They're better at QCing this before the matches than we are sometimes. Yeah, it says they should align with the line. So yeah, I would think that you get them straight-ish. Anybody else?
I was just curious if anybody had 2 tables with 2 mats and 2 teams running, if they've run into any issues with the 2 hands actually touching and then taking the hand back.
So you're saying table 1 has already put the hand into scoring position. Table 2 then does that mission and knocks table 1's hand out of scoring
Yeah.
position?
Yes, correct.
Hmm.
We don't have two tables, so I wasn't even sure if it was possible to do, or if it was something that
Okay,
we
so you haven't
consider
seen
when-
that issue?
No, we actually have kicked it back ourselves by mistake, but I don't know if that is possible with two competing tables.
I was looking at that and it looks like it's set far enough back that I don't see it being a problem, but our tables don't go together, so we haven't been able to actually put them both up at the same time.
Yeah, I was looking at the setback on that too. Let's.
I'll have the kids do an experiment on that tomorrow.
Awesome, thank you.
Can you post that, Art? Are you on the Slack?
Yes, I am.
Can you just post that you guys looked at it if you get a chance to?
Yeah, not a problem.
Thank you.
Does anybody know if they've shipped out the second mats yet? Because they have not, as far as I know. And when I reached out, it was basically like, our distributor's having issues, and that was it. There was no information.
They have not shipped to us yet.
I thought
And you can't cancel it either.
I thought I read someone say that they are getting them and they're expected to ship in 2 to 3 weeks.
Oof.
That's really, really rough for teams that don't have funding because we pay for them, and then they're going to be useless at that point, like, or not useless, but not nearly as useful.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you. It's unfortunate that with the delays, we weren't given the option to cancel the order, for sure. And actually, Emily, I'm not sure on your dashboard, does it say that it shipped, but it didn't? Because mine actually says that it shipped, but it did not.
Yeah, ours says it shipped with the classroom
Books,
packets, and
right?
yep.
Yeah.
And it even said it was delivered. And then I reached out because it wasn't. And that's
Yep.
the response I got. It was just like, we don't know. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I think it's unclear if in our situation or if everybody's in the same situation where they'll just ship another shipment when it's ready, or they'll just see that it's already been shipped and not ship it at all without another help case. So I did have to write a help case to get my paper manuals. That's why I was kind of curious to see if you had to do the same. Or did yours just ship?
Our paper manuals came just fine. And then I wrote an email, but they did not tell me I needed to write support something. They just said, wait, it'll come eventually. So I'm like, I don't know what that means, but.
So, Jen, on page 19, they do have a picture, you may have seen this, of the two hands up together. It doesn't look like they contact each other. So hopefully there's enough setback there. But yeah, we'll wait and see what Art finds out there.
Okay.
Nice if they had a setup table that you could rotate. Interactive. Maybe zoom in on all the model components. That'd be cool. Anybody else? I think Brian's falling asleep. You guys have to have judging questions. You have to.
I had one
Waiting for
judging
the
question.
scrimmage.
That's pretty impressive for this part of the season.
We're waiting for the scrimmage. Then we'll have plenty of judging questions.
October 29th.
Boom, there it is.
Is it October 29th? Oh, sweet. Thanks.
It's so early days for my team right now. I've got 2 new teams to my other 2, so now I'm up to 4 teams. And it's just it's organized chaos right now, just trying to get all 4 tables put together, and trying to get them to start generating ideas for innovation projects. So I've pointed them at the robots, but I have not nobody's even bothered to unpack them. They're still busy putting the table together.
We always had the opposite problem. They wanted to play with the robots first before anything else. Nothing else but the robots. The program on the floor. They didn't care about the table. They didn't care about anything.
We were so excited that the robots came during summer school that already set up all the spike primes and got them kind of with at least a base configuration. And they had a bit of fun playing with them during summer school. So now it's kind of, all right, we'll wait on that until we actually know what the heck we have to make the robot interact with. So. Anyway.
Yeah, just to follow up on that bag 15, I think I am going to send one suggestion by Eric. I think I'm going to send a question up to you first on that to make sure about those bag 15 pieces. So we'll see if we can get an answer on that or not, one way or the other.
Just to clarify, once you do the inspection, you can spread your attachments between the two home areas, right? But once you did that, you cannot move stuff from home area to home area, including the jigs to align the robot.
Okay, if your inspection is, are you saying once you're done with inspection?
Yeah, let's say you are done with inspection, and then you are allowed to spread your attachments between the two home areas, right?
Yeah, that's actually in the before the match setup.
Right, and
Line
once
number
you
3.
did that, the 2.5 minutes started, you cannot move attachments from side to side. And would that also include the jigs that you use to align the robot?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back
Correct.
to the clarification, but my understanding is nothing can move by hand between.
Okay.
Yeah, my kids were mainly disappointed with no chicken-based obstacles this year.
They have a dinosaur.
Peggy, you guys didn't find a chicken on the thing anywhere?
Nope, no chickens. Well, actually,
no hidden
there's
chicken.
little cows. Was there any chickens by the cows and the sheep on the mat? I don't know. They were talking about it. I don't remember if they found something or not in there, but there's little farm animals. They were excited to find their cows. So.
Okay, you'll have to
Okay.
remind me at one of the tournaments when I see you. I have to tell you a story about the cow, the robot milkers for the cows.
Okay.
I worked on a court case for those, so I want to tell you guys about it. I thought you'd like that. Sorry, I was just looking for. I just want to read that update again.
I have that chicken too, Jeff. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Still 1 inch long chicken. There was one team in our regional distributing that with the other teams. Really cool.
So part of the reason I'm trying to be clear on some of these things, the update says you can't pass the robot between. Part of the reason I want to be clear on some of the things when we tell you can't pass anything across, because I know that's what they have told me. I've contacted first, and they told me that the intent is something. So I get nervous when it's not in the rule, but I know they may pass another clarification, right?
I think what you want to look at is page 19.
Am I missing it?
Rule number 4.
Oh,
And I think the game update was fixing this rule 4
19?
because it says technicians may not touch anything outside of their home area or cause anything to move or extend outside this area except the robot.
Gotcha. There you go. Okay.
And so that except the robot on the end kind of opened up this gray area that, oh, the team can take their robot out of the home area and over to the other home area. But I think now with the game update, it's pretty clear that nothing can be taken by hand
Gotcha.
out of the home area.
Okay.
That's kind of where I was reading about the so the nerds this year, that's the name of their team, may be upset. They usually try to do something that launches out of home every year. I think that would That would negate.
Well, as long as the robot does it, it's okay.
Well,
Rule 4 is the technicians can't do it.
Oh, yeah.
The robot can do
As
a
long as
lot
the
of
robot
things.
launches it.
The humans can't be messing with the field. The robot can.
I have to tell you, I really like the old way they used to do the rules. This new way is kind of weird for me. Seems like it takes so long to find what I'm looking for.
Are there any other questions, or are we getting to the end of the evening?
I have questions about FLL Explorer. Should I just write those in a note to you?
Sure, or unless you think they're questions everybody would benefit from.
I can be quick. They might be
Okay.
useful. So I know you had said that Amy Hardy's Buckstein Balkan one is like not a sanctioned expo event. And I looked through that deck of material that you sent. It looks like mine, however small I could make it, still could potentially meet the criteria of a sanctioned event. And I'm trying to understand what's the difference. What is the benefit of a sanctioned versus a non-sanctioned event as it pertains to FLL Explorer?
A sanctioned event gets published on FIRST's website as an event available for people to sign up and attend.
Okay.
And then we generally charge a small registration fee for that.
Okay. Got it. So then if we had enough space to accommodate additional teams at our small expo-like event, how would we get information out to other expo teams that might be in our area?
We could promote it as a scrimmage and just refer people to you.
Okay. So if we call it a scrimmage, then similar to the Waukesha scrimmage, but at a, in a different level, then we could still get it somewhat publicized if people are interested in joining.
Right.
Okay.
Jen, the Slack channel as well is not a sanctioned thing, so you're welcome to post there as well. Right.
Yeah, those are only for the older teams for the most part, though.
Gotcha.
So I wouldn't get any of the ones who haven't explored the challenge yet.
Understood. Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. That was my question.
I would still put it in Slack. You don't know who's out there.
That was kind of what I was thinking. Is some of you might be some crossover there. So.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything? Jeff, I was holding you to an hour. I think you went over, bud.
You do the shameless plea, Jay?
Absolutely. So, as always, I'll ask you guys to please consider volunteering this year. As we go into the tournaments, we always need bodies in places, and for those of you that are new, it's a great opportunity to learn the ins and outs of how the tournaments work, how judging works, what they're really looking for, how to read and decipher the rubrics properly, what the judges are looking for with the rubrics. Same rubrics that you guys are using are the ones that the judges use as well. We also always need help volunteering for referees. So refereeing, we're taking 16 years old is our minimum. Judging is 18. So please do consider, if you can, help us with some of the events. Pass some information along to some of the parents. Maybe they'll be interested in volunteering as well. Oh yeah, see, Art says, I learned so much by judging at state last year. Yeah, it's a good experience, isn't it? I tell the story all the time, and I say the same thing. It's even though I ref, I think the best experience for new coaches or even coaches that just kind of want to understand more. The rubrics were a huge thing to me. So once we started judging and understanding what they're really looking for, it just opens up a lot of understanding. Like now you're not just going there and doing what you think you need to do, you know what they're looking for. It's the answer sheet. So Definitely, guys,
Look,
if you can volunteer.
I really thought the innovation project last year was a joke as a coach. It was like before I went to the tournaments.
Yeah.
And we bowed out in the first round and like, well, I got to learn more about what I'm doing as a coach. I was a first year coach and didn't know what I was doing.
Yep.
Went to the judge at state and saw kids with patent applications and way crazy ideas in the innovation project. And I learned that you've got to spend a lot more time on the innovation project than we did last year.
Yep. We did the same thing, and I think I was third year coach at that point. So imagine me going, oh my God, what have I been doing for 3 years and 6 teams, you know? Now I really understand what we need to do more than I did. So, yeah, anybody that can, please do, like I said, pass some information along to parents as well. Also, I know you guys everybody here is probably on Slack, but for any new teams, we do have a Slack channel that you can get in touch with referees. There's a referee channel there. There's judge questions there. You can post stuff up there, and we'll get to them, as quickly as we can. We do still have day jobs, but we're generally pretty responsive there, as well as some of these great coaches here that have tons of knowledge. There's a coach to coach channel that you can ask these guys, and everybody is always willing to help. It's a great tool.
I've been used to seeing the updates coming via email from MailChimp, and I haven't seen any yet this year. Is that
so? You're talking about the
Wisconsin FLL newsletter?
Yeah.
There was one sent out already. The second one should go out this week. I was out of town last week without internet access, so nothing got sent out last week. But you should see a second newsletter as long as you are a coach of a team that's registered this season.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, I just haven't paid my Wisconsin FLL fees yet.
That's not a problem. That won't happen until we open up registration for tournaments, which hasn't happened yet. But as long as you've registered with First as a team and paid your first registration fee, you'll end up on our mailing list.
Okay.
So I just got one more thing that it just hit me that somebody was asking questions on Slack, so I'll make it quick. Steve, this might be a you question. He doesn't like to be called on. So do we have any dates or anything yet that we're planning on registration opening? Just not holding anybody to anything, but is there a blueprint at all?
We haven't nailed anything down yet, but I think Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in the past what we target is early October for that.
That's what it's been past seasons, especially pre-COVID, which hopefully we're getting closer back to the way we used to operate.
Right. Okay, very good. And we won't put any solid dates on anything, but there was a question in Slack earlier today, so just want to make sure we try to address that. Okay, if anybody doesn't, that was bad English. If no one has any further questions, we can wrap it up. If you have anything else, throw it out.
I just want to ask if you guys got back to Austin at all about the Sparta possibility. Is anyone in communication with him or?
Not yet. I was out last week, so I need to catch up on things.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll make sure that Jeff finds the thread that we were chatting on there. I kind of left it. There's something that you and Steve probably need to see before we, before any other contact that I would do with him. So it's just a date situation. Anything else, guys? Bobby, where are you? Gotta say bye. Gone. Bobby. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
We'll see you next week.
Yep.